Hope margarita.
Have you ever played a game so intense that you felt your palms get sweaty? That you felt your knees getting weaker? Like your arms were heavy? Well, we definitely have, and we've loved every moment of it. There's nothing quite like a game that stresses you out without it necessarily becoming frustrating. And because there's nothing quite like those games, we've decided to come up with a list of the 10 stressful games that make your palms sweat.
You're holding the Nostromo flight recorder unit. We request immediate permission to transfer the passengers port side over.
The Alien games have been fairly hit or miss since they started, but Alien Isolation is a definite hit. We still have nightmares of that xenomorph slowly wandering around the ship, getting closer and closer to our hiding spot in a locker or under a table. But it's not the sight of Xenomorph attacking us that really makes us start dripping in sweat. It's the knowledge that this thing is out there and could attack us at any moment. I mean, the dismemberment isn't the most fun either, but it's not much to do about that part. You just have to kind of accept that Xenomorph is going to give you a third eye in your forehead. What can we say about Tetris that hasn't already been said? Not much, probably. It reminds us of pumpernickel bread. Yeah, that's definitely never been said about Tetris. Anyway, we digress. Tetris is an old-school game that still gets played today because of how intense it is. Nothing quite matches the panic of needing a certain shape and not getting it for ages. It may look easy, but don't let the simplicity of the game fool you. Tetris is definitely one of the most difficult games out there, and will definitely get those sweat glands working. Don't let the name of this game fool you. It's not entirely impossible. However, it is highly improbable. Because you're gonna need a full tracksuit, sweatband and towel before you finally beat this monstrosity of a game. You might also need a new controller. Okay, you're definitely gonna need a lot of new controllers because the impossible game is quite rage-inducing too. At least the background music can be pretty nice to listen to. But even that can become infuriating if you've been failing for long enough. Outlast 2 won't just get your palms sweaty, but the sight of a large pile of fly-infested, stripped-down corpses might make you vomit up last night's spaghetti all over your sweater. It's just that kind of game. The imagery doesn't really get much better from there. Outlast 2 also has a similar element to Alien Isolation, where you're aware of the impending doom, but you don't know where it's gonna come from, or from whom, or how it's gonna happen. All the game gives you is the knowledge that you're boned, but they leave the rest up to your imagination, which is incredibly cruel. Going back to the classics here. The real classics, that is. Some of you may have never played Space Invaders, and some of you might remember it. The easy way to tell the difference between folks who've played it or not is the flashbacks and nervous tics. Space Invaders starts out easily enough. There are plenty of ships for you to aim at. But it just gets faster and faster and faster as the ships descend upon you. Long story short, Space Invaders was not for the faint of heart or the copious of sweat. While Ornstein and Smaug might sound like a law firm out of Albany, they are in fact two of the most challenging bosses in the Dark Souls franchise. They're also called Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smaug, and they're basically gods. What makes this particular fight stand out is the fact that it's against two different styles of attacks that you have to continuously dodge, and somehow find a way to attack them as well without getting blindsided by the other one. Basically, make sure you've got yourself plenty of electrolyte drinks because this is gonna be a very sweaty affair. This may be quite an obscure entry for some, but for those of us who had very little interest in middle school IT classes, we'll know all about Icy Tower and how intense it could be. Which would be quite a problem, seeing as the aforementioned IT teacher might wonder why you're 3 inches away from your computer screen, totally fixated on what the teacher assumed was an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you just really wanted to get that formula right. But in reality, getting to the top of the tower was the impossible challenge of the day. Why impossible? Because there was no top of the tower. It was endless. Icy Tower was all about bragging rights, and who wouldn't get clammy and sweaty at the thought of besting your buddies at a game? Once again, we enter the realm of horror games, and with good reason. It's one of those games where on the surface the player can look calm and ready, but in reality, they will be terrified. There will be moments in this game where you just want to switch it off and snap back to reality. Resident Evil 7 does an incredible job at immersing the gamer in a terrifying world that the developers have crafted. The dark setting, the stellar sound design and compelling narrative result in a fantastic atmosphere in which you just lose yourself.
You know?
Only to be brutally awakened by a ridiculous jump scare. Resident Evil 7 is not for the faint of heart.
I told you to stay out of here!
It's not often a game gets awarded the most difficult game ever, especially in a world where Dark Souls exists. But Battletoads makes Dark Souls look like Minecraft in passive mode. Seriously, Battletoads was so brutally imbalanced that it gained a cult following as a result. Of course, where there are hilariously difficult games, there will be speedrunners who make it look easy and make us all feel pretty inadequate about our gaming chops. But in this case, we don't care. If you've done a speedrun of Battletoads, then props to you. Seriously. And if you did it without ending up looking like a day-old burrito, then you're just a god, or something otherwise inhuman. "2008 spawned a wave of survival modes in our shooter games. Horde mode in Gears of War 2, Firefight in Halo 3 ODST, and a smattering of others. But the first of the bunch was the Nazi zombie mode in Call of Duty World at War. It was only unlocked after the player completed the campaign, and the concept was, and is, a simple one: survive as long as you can. But as the waves grew longer and more intense, the simplicity of the task vanished. Surviving quickly became a hunt for the holy grail of weapons from the mystery box, the ray gun, which would keep you alive for at least 15 rounds with relative comfort. Then ammo started becoming an issue. We'll just leave it at that for now. It's already intense enough as it is. And those are the 10 stressful games that make your hands sweat. And boy, didn't they just do exactly that. We're still recovering from most of them. What was your sweatiest moment playing a video game? Let us know in the comments. No dodgy comments, please. And be sure to like, share and subscribe for even more random lists here at ZoominGames.
My God, Ripley. You're doing good, Tim.